Hi, hello Michael. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Michael Palmer. My job title is Senior Product Manager. I work for the BBC. Aside from that, I am a father of two baby girls. So one's 6 months, one's 18 months. So between me and my wife, we're not getting all that much sleep at the minute, but we're getting by, you know?
Yeah, okay, well that's great. I know I sent you some categories and you chose the category of mindfulness. So it was super exciting. To start the podcast, I actually wanted to do something quite interesting where you say like, hi, my name is, and like your 3 flaws, and then, because obviously we're embracing flaws, and so other people can learn from other people's mistakes. So I'll start just to So my name is Hayley, and I put my 3 flaws are impatientness, carelessness, and lateness. So you can go next.
Okay, so I'm Michael, and I've got more than 3 flaws, but we'll just limit it to 3, yeah?
Yeah.
I can be a bit of a control freak. I like things just so. I hate it when other people are late, and I get annoyed. And also, I do too many things at once. I overcommit.
Okay, that's good. So that was just like, it's good. I think it's really interesting for everyone to just be more open about it, because I think nowadays everyone always wants to show the best side of themselves, and they kind of forget to show like the bad side of themselves. And I mean, I'm always trying to, like, especially like when you're in your 20s, people want to know, like, there's the extra layer of pressure, you know, so I just want to relieve that sort of pressure. But okay, so starting off, I guess I actually gonna want to look at the definition of mindfulness on Google, so we can say the actual definition, and then we can like interpret it in our own way, because I think that would be quite interesting. So the official definition is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. How do you interpret mindfulness?
Well, I think it's safe to say that I've been on a journey with mindfulness. Like, what mindfulness meant to me 8 years ago is different what it means to me today. So I wasn't really someone that did anything in terms of mindfulness. Definitely not 10 years ago, but around, I want to say 8 years ago, maybe 7. My life was really hectic at that time, and I was going through a bad time in terms of mental health. I was also drinking quite a lot and quite heavily. Speaking of flaws, like I'll come back to that in a bit actually. Yeah. But where I worked in Manchester city centre, there was a Buddhist meditation place, and it did lunchtime meditation sessions. And I thought, I'm going to give that a go one lunchtime, and I went. And I just felt like this little oasis of peace for like this 20 minutes where all you focused on was your breath and like what the instructor told you to focus on, and putting your awareness in different places of your body. And I just felt something in the calmness. And I thought, oh, there's something really beautiful in that. And it's something that I'd like to develop. But what I found was, because, as I said, I was drinking quite a lot, and my lifestyle was like really chaotic, and I was either drunk quite a lot or hungover quite a lot. And I don't think those two things go hand in hand with mindfulness, because you've got all this fog from alcohol or hangover, and like that doesn't go well with like trying to clear your mind and just focus on what is. But my story is, coming up to 7 years ago, I hit like breaking point, and I admitted I was an alcoholic. At the start, I was really delighted to find out that a big part of recovery is meditation. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I thought there was something in that. So at the start, I would meditate. I didn't really know what to do, even though I'd been to some Buddhist things. I downloaded some apps like Headspace and stuff like that, and just started to practice. And all I wanted to do at that point was just shut off my mind and, you know, focus on just the moment that you're in, and trying to have no thoughts whatsoever. And if you had a thought, try and push it away and just go back to silence. But for me, I never thought this would happen. I wasn't really like a faith-based person, but as I've been on this journey, slowly but surely, like I've started developing a faith. I'd call myself a Christian now, and I go to Quakers, which is somewhat people who come together and sit in silence for an hour a week in like a sort of meditative state. So I do that every week now. So it's not so much that I sit in silence anymore like I used to. I try and like pray when I'm being mindful that way, and try and like have a connection with like my conception of God anyway.
Yeah, I think what you said is actually so interesting, because I was going to touch on the next point being acknowledging and awareness. So you kind of touched on that a lot already. If you don't say that there's a problem, you don't know, like you can't fix it, because you'll just lie to yourself. And I guess I do that a lot with the lateness. Like I'll just make up excuses like, oh, it was the train, oh, it was something else, but then really and truly I could have just woken up half an hour earlier, but you know what I mean? If I don't acknowledge that it is a real problem, especially in the professional world, it's taken so seriously. And I think obviously transitioning from like, you know, school, university to the professional world, it's kind of like the stakes are a lot higher. Like, you know, there wasn't that much pressure in school. Like if you were late, you could obviously get disciplinary or something. But if you're late in the real world, you just lose your job. Like, like the consequences are a lot tougher. It's really hard because I think also human nature, it's like you never want to be wrong. You never want to admit that you're kind of not a perfect human being, which is why I made this called Perfectly Imperfect. Perceptions being reality. So what's kind of your thoughts on that kind of, I guess some people would call it manifest, but not all people believe in manifestation.
So I think I'm a big believer in like setting goals. And it's hard to set goals unless you kind of know what you want. And I think you've got to go on a bit of a journey with that. So I'll give you an example. Recently found myself at a stage where I was really desperate for the job that I'm in now, and I really wanted this job. And that was a goal of mine, to do my job as a product manager at the BBC. And I worked really hard to get there, and then I got it and I was delighted. And then for a while, it was just like, amazing. This is exactly where I wanted to be. But then after a while, I started thinking, well, you know, I'm still quite young. Like, it's not like this is it now. Yeah. So I need to think like, well, what's next for me? What do I want for my life? And I didn't really know, because this has been my goal for so long. But I was reading a book, and it offered some advice on how to sort of, plan out your future. And it gave some advice which is like, you can see it as a bit morbid, but it was saying, if you imagine you were attending your own funeral, there's a fly on the wall, and like a family member of yours spoke, a friend of yours spoke, and a colleague. If you could pick what those people would say about you, what would you choose? And like actually force yourself to sit down and write down, like, here's what I'd like my wife or my mum or whoever to say, here's what I'd like my colleague to say. And then in doing that, you kind of like look at what you'd like people to think about you, and it kind of like you realise like, well, am I that person that I want people to think I am? And if I'm not, what are the things I'm not doing? So in the things I was saying, I'll like be completely honest. Like sometimes I can like lose my temper and be a bit grumpy around the house. Don't like that about myself, but sometimes I can. And don't worry, like my wife definitely gives it back when I'm being grumpy. I can put him in place. But like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like grouchy. So in the thing that my wife said, it was like, you know, it was always like fun and good to be around, which I am most of the time, but sometimes I'm human. But I kind of wrote like a personal mission statement on that, which is like, I want to be able to control my reactions to things, my emotions. So on a personal level, it's given me some things that I want to be each day. I want to be fun. I want to be like someone who my wife and my kids want to be around. But also it helped me realise that I really like helping people, and I really like impacting big change. So that made me think, well, I'm not drawn to jobs in the future where I'll be creating a lot of profit for someone. That's cool if that's what you want to do, but it just doesn't bring me joy. So I'd like to be in like leadership positions in the future where I can implement and affect change for good for society. So it really helped me think like where I want to be next. And you could say that like having that thought, I'm manifesting and trying to draw that to me, but I think I probably see it in a more practical sense for me personally. I'm like, right, well, if that's where I want to be, what do I need to do to get there, and what plans do I need to put in place? So one of the things I was like, right, well, if I want to be there and I can't imagine what there looks like, I need to find some people who are there and ask them what they did to get there and start getting advice from them. So in some ways, like, I am manifesting, but in other ways, like, I'm just kind of coming up with a plan. Like, I've got a goal and now I'm trying to find a route to get to it.
I mean, I've never heard that saying before, so I'm definitely gonna do that after this call. I'm not even joking. I'm gonna do that exercise because I have had like thoughts like that, but I think that's such a like a fast track way of growth.
Yeah. Can I give you one more thing quickly?
Yeah, go on.
Another thing that really helps is, like, say you're angry at someone and you're like feeling really pissed off and resentful at them, like might have an argument or something. If you can take it back and try your hardest to see your part in it. Don't think about the stuff that they said. They might have said some things that were terrible or they've done something that's really annoying, but just think, like, what was my part in that? All of a sudden you can like just get a chink of empathy and think, yeah, I could have done that better. And if you focus on like your actions rather than theirs, all of a sudden it just like takes the sting out of it. And I think it's a bit the same as like writing the list. It just helps you like see things from a bit of a more holistic, stood back perspective.
Yeah, because it's kind of like transparency, right? Being like honest with people and honest with yourself, I guess, because that's, you can never know there's a problem until you confront yourself about the problem, because more times you're the problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining this episode, and I wish you all the best.